Well, it's Saturday the 2nd of March. This is episode 2213 of 301 Permanently Moved Online, a personal podcast 301 seconds in length, written, recorded, and edited by me, at the JMO. Last week's episode on governance and coordination, and the distinction between the two, was something I've been meaning to write about for over a year. Rather than fretting about this distinction, noodling on a really long text, I'm glad I just bit the bullet and made it and hit publish. Feels good, man. It can now serve as an on-ramp to a whole bunch of other things that I've been putting off writing about. I spent the week writing a post about live streaming, coordinative play, Trust's Moving Castles project, and game environments. It's got rather long and it might need breaking up, but I want to finish the first draft first, so let's see. Anyways, in the spirit of public connected thought, today's show is developed out of an off-the-cuff comment I made in the text about social media. TikTok, and social media more generally, has its roots in 18th century theatre, by way of light entertainment and reality television, because all the formats that put normal, everyday people centre stage. Back in episode 2036, I talked about Henry Jenkins's 2006 book, Convergence Culture, where he describes reality television as being built around attractions, or short, highly emotionally charged units which can be watched in or out of sequence. And I pointed out that you could probably find the same sentiment in TikTok's design document. Reality television first emerged in the mid to late 90s, driven by two separate pressures. Pioneered and later weaponised by MTV in 1992 with the launch of The Real World, a programme focused on the lives of a group of strangers who lived together in a house for several months, whilst cameras recorded their interpersonal relationships. As an aside, the Japanese series Terrace House is the pinnacle of this format. MTV wanted a scripted soap opera like 90210 or Melrose Place, but it was going to be far too expensive for the fledgling network. Instead, inspiration was drawn from the experimental 1973 PBS documentary series An American Family. Intended as a documentary-style slice of life, over the course of filming, it ended up documenting the impact of the breakup and divorce of the family's parents on their children. Another pressure on MTV at the time was its own existence. Cable television had opened up the media landscape, hundreds of new channels, all competing for attention. A race to the bottom, a race for emotionally charged units. One of my favourite YouTubers is Stuart Millard. He's a kind of media archaeologist and social commentator. He spelunks his way through old VHS rips of British television shows uploaded to YouTube. He writes long blog posts about late 90s edgelord banter shows like Channel 4's 11 O'Clock Show, and will do deep dives onto the surviving episodes of Saturday morning kids shows like Motormouth. Millard also has a deep fascination with the life's work of Noel Edmonds, which I appreciate. Check out his blog and support him on Patreon. It was his recent two-part series on the Great British Beauty Contest that was the genesis for today's episode. Besides the meta-level beauty contest, the shows contain the fashion round, a swimsuit round, maybe a talent round, singing segment, short interviews with contestants, and more. The format of the shows are kind of like watching an hour of TikTok, but grouped by theme. Proles smiling and performing for the judges. Elsewhere in the wastelands of late 70s British primetime light entertainment, we see shows with dance troupes, folk singers, comedy skits, celebrities, pop songs, the whole works. The camera eventually came off the sound stages and into people's homes with both reality television and shows like You've Been Framed. Today, the camera's in our pockets. TikTok is an algorithmically weaponised talent show. It's reminiscent of the 30-second long audition segments from the early rounds of Britain's Got Talent, a show which in itself is the last gasp of light entertainment. Who needs a panel of celebrity judges or Simon Cowell to say next when anyone can just swipe up? We can now connect light entertainment and TikTok back to its origins in the 18th century as penny theatre, or the penny gaff, which emerged during the industrial urbanisation period. It was the professionalisation and exploitation of street performers. From Wikipedia, the penny gaff were theatrical entertainment staged wherever space permitted, such as the back room of a public house or a small hall. Unsophisticated, the props and scenery rarely consisted of more than a stage and a piano. Clowning, dancing, singing and plays were all featured in the penny gaffs, short, easy to perform, well known to the audience, with simple, exciting stories. It sounds a lot like spending an evening on TikTok, doesn't it? Penny gaff theatre became what we now know as music hall and the evening review, which in turn were formats lifted from the stage and placed in front of the camera to become light entertainment. Early Victorian moral reformers described the penny gaffs as places that no respectable person goes, so they have it all their own way and corrupt the minds of youth without rebuke. Sounds a lot like modern moral panics about TikTok, doesn't it? And lastly, the penny gaff derives its name, unsurprisingly, from the cost of the entrance fee, but gaff was the slang word for the local cockfighting pit, a connotation not lost on the audience. It brought an attitude of blood sport to the evening, and as a result, performers were frequently subject to the wisdom and aesthetic preferences of crowds, let's say. as are performers on social media still today.